Hi everyone, welcome to week 5. My name is Catherine and this week is all about technical land management tools for natural resource management. To get you thinking about the tools we may use when trying to create better environmental outcomes for an ecosystem, I'm going to talk about a natural resource management issue that I think can be improved by implementing an adaptive management approach. Firstly, I will introduce the ecosystem and one of the issues that it's facing, and I will talk about why adaptive management will be beneficial for this case study. The Australian Alps is a mountain range in southeastern Australia that is mostly protected by large national parks across 2 states and 1 territory. These parks include the Alpine National Park in Victoria, the Kosciuszko National Park in New South Wales, and the Namadgi National Park in the Australian Capital Territory. The Alps are split into 2 biogeographic subregions, the Snowy Mountains and the Brindabella Range. I will be focusing in on the Snowy Mountains contained in New South Wales for my presentation this week, but please keep in the back of your mind that there are 3 governments responsible for the preservation and protection of the broader region. The Snowy Mountains is recognised as being of national significance due to its natural beauty, high and unique biodiversity, and tourism opportunities through camping, hiking and skiing. However, there has been an ongoing and passionate discussion about the impacts of wild horses or brumbies on the area. The image of brumbies brought up by the iconic Banjo Paterson poem The Man from Snowy River has left a lasting impression on Australians about wild, untamable brumbies roaming through the Snowy Mountains. However, they are an introduced species in a very sensitive and unique environment. As hoofed animals, they impact on ground vegetation and waterways, which has been recognised as leading to reduced biodiversity in the Snowy Mountains region. This has resulted in many ideas about how brumbies should be handled within the Kosciuszko National Park. Most scientists agree that the brumby numbers should be reduced by up to 90% over 20 years, both for the sake of the vegetation as well as the health of the horses. However, lobbyist groups and those with emotional ties to the brumbies successfully campaigned in 2018 for the Deputy Premier of New South Wales to introduce a bill to have brumbies considered as part of any conservation management plan, considering they're culturally significant. This has caused a huge and divisive rift not only between conservation groups and those wanting to keep the horses, but the government bodies that take care of the regions through their parks. Moving away from brumbies for a moment, let's look at tools for natural resource management. Adaptive management is a natural resource management tool that uses a structured, cyclical process of research and decision making with an aim to reduce the uncertainty of a system over time through monitoring and adjusting. Argent in 2009 said this management for the production and preservation of ecosystems was facilitated through learning, describing, predicting, and doing. Learning is about monitoring and evaluating. Describing is about summarizing and representing systems through models. Predicting is about testing policies and proposed actions. And doing is the experiment of managing. I think the brumby issue represents a great opportunity for adaptive management to be introduced as a tool for improving the biodiversity of the region, while finding appropriate ways of dealing with the impact the wild horses are having on the area. An implementation of the 4 parts of the adaptive management cycle could result in long-term effective management within Kosciuszko National Park. The learning could be evaluating the current horse numbers and looking at current and historic biodiversity levels across the area where the brumbies are found. The describing could be a range of modelling around the impact of different numbers of brumbies and the impact on other species in the national park or on their impact to waterways. The predicting would be coming up with the policies and actions and testing them within models made to try and determine the best way forward with the information we have. Finally, the doing could be implementing the policies and actions. This could be sterilisation of horses or capturing and rehoming them. Then the success of these actions would be assessed in the next round of learning. For adaptive management to be an effective tool for brumby numbers in Kosciuszko National Park, there would need to be communication and agreements between the Kosciuszko National Park in New South Wales and the Alpine National Park in Victoria, because while there's an administrative boundary to the parks, the brumbies would be free to roam between the two as there's no physical boundary. The Victorian government have a very different view on reducing the numbers of brumbies than the New South Wales government. It would also require stakeholder engagement early, often and meaningfully to avoid the previous result where the science was ignored over emotional values. Data sharing would also be critical to the effectiveness of the program. These are specific examples that also fall in with Argent's necessary conditions for success, which are clear objectives, data and knowledge, participants, science practitioners, partners, and money and time. Barriers to adaptive management of brumbies in Kosciuszko National Park include political influence that results in data and knowledge being pushed aside for the wants of lobbyists or stakeholder groups. And similarly, risk-averse governments or agencies may not be willing to put the money and staffing required for the cyclical nature of adaptive management, as they are more technocratic in how they operate. If the two bigger national parks can't agree on the management plan, it makes it really difficult for the true impact of a policy or action to be measured. Finally, if for some reason one of the agencies or a scientist was hoarding data, it's a real barrier to the next learning stage of the cycle. As we've already explored in this course, ecosystems are complex and require new ways of thinking that understand this complexity. Adaptive management is a tool that not only recognises this complexity, it actively works to ensure that environments are being effectively preserved or managed, while allowing for new research and data to be collected and used in the next cycle of the project. By implementing adaptive management to the Brumby population in Kosciuszko National Park, a greater balance of the needs of the environment could be achieved through learning, describing, predicting, and doing. Thank you all for watching my presentation, and I look forward to talking to you during our discussions this week. See you there!